This is apportionment using Jefferson's method. Step 1, we have to find a suitable divisor D. So usually what we do with Hamilton's method, we look at the standard divisor, use that, and we'll get some kind of standard quota, hoping that everything will add up. And remember, back in Hamilton's method, if it doesn't, we just give out surplus seats. With Jefferson's method and Adams' method, we don't have surplus seats. What we're trying to do is create a scenario where there are no surplus seats, and we manipulate that number, that divisor. So that's what it means to find a suitable divisor. If the original does not work, we're going to change it and create our own to see if what we get has the seats add up. And then step 2, the actual math of it all, we're using that divisor, compute each state's modified quota, so not their standard quota, but their modified quota. Step 3, each state is appointed its modified lower quota. Okay, so one similarity with Jefferson's and Hamilton's is we're still using lower quota, so just kind of keep that in mind as we go forward. This chapter really is just, or this section, this one in Adams and Webster's, it's a really big guessing game here. So here we go with step 1, a little more detail, and I'll do an example here after this. So we need to find a suitable divisor. This is a really nice diagram that kind of shows the procedure for guessing correctly. We're gonna excuse me. We are going to guess a divisor. So if we don't like our divisor, we're going to guess. Let's say it doesn't work out. Alright, well, first we divide the state's population by D, round the numbers down, okay, and add the total numbers. If it's the same as the number of seats, we've done it correctly. Now let's look at the two scenarios. Let's say that it ends up being less than the amount of seats. Then maybe we need to make our divisor smaller so that when we divide by that smaller number, we're getting bigger answers out of that. On the other hand, if our total is more than the amount of seats allowed, so for instance here, we're going to make our divisor, our modified divisor, larger, so because when you divide by a larger number, the answers tend to be smaller. So hopefully bring the numbers back down. And we want everything to add up to the original number of seats. Step 2. Each state is apportioned its lower quota. So in this example, it's kind of done for you, and I'm going to show you after this an example where we choose a divisor that doesn't work, and when that happens, you just choose another one and choose another one until you get it right. So these are the same populations we've been working with in the other sections. Again, states A through F with their populations. And notice here we have, so the lower quote, didn't mean to highlight, the lower quotas, and we have what happens when, so notice the difference here between, let me put the pen back on, sorry about that. We have the standard quota. If we divided each one of these by the standard quota, that's what we would get. Or sorry, the standard quota, the standard divisor. We get each state's standard quota. When we change that divisor value, that 50,000, and bring it down to 49,500, notice that these values are just a little bit different. Okay? And the cool thing about that is now when we take all the lower quotas from that, so 32.25 becomes, sorry, 33.25 becomes 33, 140.12 becomes 140. So just round everything down. All these add up to 250. So we filled up the amount of seats. There are no surplus seats here that need to be given out. Let me show you what it would be like to do this on a blank chart. And I just want I want to show you that it's okay to make mistakes the first time. This really is a guess and check kind of thing. Before we continue to that chart, one thing to keep in mind is that Jefferson's method can actually produce what we call upper quota violations. So that's when states get more seats than they're allotted. So like if, for instance, if I'm getting 34.6 is my standard quota. I should have 34 or 35 seats. If I end up with 36 seats, that's more than I'm really supposed to have, and this is what can happen with Jefferson's method, and I'll show you that here on the next slide. Alright, so here's the big blank chart, and we've got all the same numbers we've been working with against A through F, and all the populations add up to 12.5 million, and the standard quota is already here for us. So here's our standard quota, should add up to 250 seats. And again, with the lower quota, this is what happens when we get to 246. So we have a total amount of seats that is too small. So we're going to need to choose a smaller divisor so that we get larger total values of these standard quotas, or these whole number quotas. Okay, hopefully some will be pushed over to the next whole number, and that will fill in some of those gaps. So I guess the key thing to remember with this, if you need a trick, if the quota is too small, you pick a smaller divisor. If the quota is too large, you pick a larger divisor. All right. So we're gonna change up the divisor just a little bit. So remember that the standard divisor was 50,000. We're going to change that just a tad. Let's bring it down a little bit. So we're going to make the new modified divisor as let's say 49,750. Let's see if that works for us. Okay, so I'm going to make that new modified divisor 49,750. Alright, and the bad part about this is that it sometimes can be a little tedious, but I'll try to work pretty quickly through these calculations here. So we got the population divided by the new divisor, so if state A, so 1,646,000 divided by 49,750, and we'll get 33.08, so 33. Okay, so that changed a little bit already, so that's helpful. We're going to do the next one, so 6,936,000 divided by 49,750, and that comes out to be 139.41, and so that's 139. That's another one that's changed, so that's looking good so far. Next one is going to be 154,000 divided by 50,000. Oops, not by 50,000, by 49,750. Alright, so we're getting 3.09, so that's one that doesn't change. The next one, 2,091,000 okay, that comes out to be 42.03, so that's 42. It's another one that's changed. And then 685,000 divided by 49,750. Okay, that comes out to be 13.7, lower quota making 13, and then the last one, 988,000 divided by 49,750, so that's 19.85, so that's still just 19. Now we're going to add all these up, so 33 plus 139 plus 3 plus 42 plus 13 plus 19 comes out to be, we're just short, 249. Okay, so we're short one seat. That's okay. We'll just try again, and this time I'm going to give you the one that does work. Now there's not only one specific number that does work. What we're going to try next is 49,500, and you saw that in the chart in the previous slide that was the one that worked. So then I'll show you how that works. Again, this isn't the only one that could work. We could choose 49,501 or 49,550. Numbers close to this would probably work. So there's some range of numbers that usually gives us what we want. All right, just to show the calculations again. Let's see. I think I've already got those answers, so this one shouldn't take as long. If we get the quota from this modified divisor, the new number is going to be 33.2 after I do the division, so lower quota of 33. The next one, if we do the population divided by 49,500, we're going to get 140.1. So this changed a little more, so 140. Okay, next one is going to come out to be 3.1, so 3 again. State D will get 42.2, so it rounds down to 42. State E will get 13.8, still rounds down to 13. And State F will get 19.9, so close, but still rounds down to 19. Let's add all those up real quick, make sure that they add up to 250, because that's what we want. So 33 plus 140 plus 3 plus 42 plus 13 plus 19. And yes, that does come out to be 250, so we've done it right. We've picked a good divisor to fill in the gaps. Now, here's the problem. In the last slide, I said sometimes the Jefferson's method comes out with some problems. We could have states that get more than their allotted upper quota. For instance, State B. Their standard quota is 138.72. So they should either have 138 or 139 seats. But they got total 140 seats. So maybe not fair to the other states, but that's just the way this worked out.